A very short time from now, in a theater not too far away, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is hitting the big screen to close out the sequel trilogy and the Skywalker saga as a whole. Here's everything you need to know before you go to a galaxy far, far away. Not only is this the finale of the 9-part story, excluding spin-offs and animated features, but this may be the last time we'll be seeing the original trilogy characters and hearing the original score from John Williams. I mean, can you imagine a Star Wars without... So, where does The Rise of Skywalker fit in the series? Episode 9 will finish out the Skywalker saga, concluding the long-running storyline that began with A New Hope back in 1977 and has continued through the original trilogy, the prequels, and recently, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. As for the plot, we've only heard that it takes place a year after the events of The Last Jedi, and that it's an adventure Rey, Finn, Poe, and the rest of the group experiences together. And what's happened in the Skywalker saga so far? Well, if I gave you all the details, we'd be creating another Star Wars episode essentially, so let's sum them up a bit. The prequels. The Rise of Skywalker is the 9th episode of the Skywalker saga and the 3rd chapter of the 3rd trilogy. The plot of the series starts with the events of the prequel trilogy when Anakin Skywalker was discovered as a child and then trained to become the chosen one of the Jedi, an order of galactic peacemakers who wield the powers of the Force for good. But Anakin became distracted by love and then was corrupted by the influence of the evil Senator Palpatine, remember this name, leading to his descent to the dark side. The original trilogy. In episodes 4 through 6, which take place nearly 2 decades later, Palpatine has become Emperor of the Galaxy and Anakin has transformed into his masked enforcer, the Sith Lord known as Darth Vader. This group of movies follows his secret children Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia as they're joined by smuggler Han Solo, his co-pilot Chewbacca, and droid C-3PO and R2-D2 to lead a rebellion against the Empire and its attempts to oppress the galaxy with moon-sized superweapons called Death Stars. Now on to the current and final trilogy, starting with The Force Awakens. While the Rebel Alliance defeated the Empire at the end of the original trilogy, decades later the galaxy is divided once again. In The Force Awakens, new heroes Rey, Poe Dameron, droid BB-8, and former Stormtrooper Finn join Han, Leia, and the Resistance against new enemies, the First Order, and their moon-sized superweapon, Starkiller Base. Han and Leia's own son, Kylo Ren, is the villainous enforcer, and at the end of the movie, killed his father. The Last Jedi. In the 8th episode of the Skywalker saga, Rey found the now reclusive Luke Skywalker in hopes of bringing him back to fight the First Order, which was on the verge of wiping out the Resistance. But he wasn't interested. Rey and Kylo then temporarily joined forces to kill the evil Supreme Leader Snoke, but when Kylo Ren continued to go after his mother and the rest of the Resistance, Luke confronted his nephew and ultimately gave his own life to aid their escape and survival. So who's returning? At the end of The Last Jedi, most of the main cast were still with us. That means we'll be seeing the main characters: Rey, Poe, Finn, and newly in charge villain Kylo Ren. Also back are Lupita Nyong'o as Maz Kanata, Domhnall Gleeson as General Hux, Kelly Marie Tran as Rose Tycho, Yona Suotomo as Chewbacca, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, and Billy Lord as Lieutenant Connix. What about Luke and Leia? Luke Skywalker died in The Last Jedi, but actor Mark Hamill has been revealed as a returning cast member for The Rise of Skywalker, so Luke will appear in some form, presumably as a Force ghost. Sadly, actress Carrie Fisher passed away after filming The Last Jedi. But did you know? Thanks to some previously unused footage, she'll appear in the film. Director J.J. Abrams says of the decision, "We desperately loved Carrie Fisher. Finding a truly satisfying conclusion to the Skywalker saga without her eluded us. We were never going to recast or use a CG character. With the support and blessing from her daughter Billy Lord, we have found a way to honor Carrie's legacy and role as Leia in Episode 9. Is anyone else coming back from the original trilogy? Yes, and one of them has been long overdue to return. Fans have been wondering if Lando Calrissian would ever show up in the current Star Wars trilogy. The popular scoundrel from the original trilogy was a big part of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and his absence from The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi left us all curious what became of the traitor turned hero of the Rebellion fleet. Meanwhile, we just met his younger self as portrayed by Donald Glover in Solo: A Star Wars Story. Did you know? Billy D. Williams hasn't been on screen as Lando since 1983, but he voiced the role in animated series and video games. As revealed by the initial teaser for the new movie, there'll be one more major character from not just the original trilogy, but also the prequel trilogy, making his return after a long absence. Emperor Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious. Actor Ian McDiarmid, who's been portraying the villain since Return of the Jedi, will reprise his role once again for The Rise of Skywalker. How did he survive his apparent death in Return of the Jedi? We shall see. Are there any newcomers for The Rise of Skywalker? Kerry Russell is one of the more notable additions to the cast. Is she a good guy or a bad guy? Her character, called Zori Bliss, is a human criminal of some kind who has a connection to Poe Dameron, and it's said to be an action-heavy role. She considers herself neutral without allegiances to either the Resistance or the First Order, but given her past with one of the former's heroes, we can probably expect her to help in their cause against Kylo Ren and the dark side while remaining a scoundrel by nature. She will be joined by fellow newcomers Naomi Ackie as a tribal warrior and Resistance ally Janna, Richard E. Grant, who plays a high-ranking First Order general, and Dominic Monaghan, a longtime admitted Star Wars fan who plays a Resistance trooper. We will also be introduced to a new little droid called Dio, sure to be another fan favorite. So now you know, and now you can go see The Rise of Skywalker in theaters December 20th.